guys, I am here with Dave and John, who are some of the developers of Counter-Spy. I saw this game. I saw the look of this game. We haven't seen much from it yet.
Right.
I'm getting so many good classic media vibes from this.
Okay.
I'm getting some Flashback, I'm getting some Rolling Thunder, I'm getting some Another World.
Right.
But I'm also getting this really great 60s mod Cold War vibe to it that I absolutely like, a Saul Bass in motion thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just funny, so many people have mentioned Rolling Thunder to us. Like, I actually had to go back and check out that game because I played a ton of games we all did growing up, but like Flashback, Another World, definitely sort of shaped our childhood. So we have a collective love for a lot of those classic side-scrollers. In terms of sort of the visual inspiration, we're pretty lucky. Like, our art director worked at Pixar for 16 years.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a little bit of a delicious toy box for us to be able to play in this world. And like you said, that whole era, 50s, 60s, like there's so much sort of cool style to it that we just love kind of playing in it. And visual style is a very, very important part of what we would kind of want to do with all our games.
Sure. You've got the game here. Let's take a look. I would love to see some gameplay.
Okay. So, Counter-Spy, it's an action espionage game set in the 60s during the Cold War. And in this level, you're sneaking into a base. You're trying to disrupt the launch of a big missile that's being set off by one of the Cold War adversaries. You're playing as a spy for this mysterious third agency called Counter.
Yeah.
And Counter's task is to try and disrupt both sides of the Cold War and stop the doomsday clock that's going down to sort of global annihilation. Yeah. And so as part of that, both sides have these crazy plans of ways to destroy each other, you know. So you're sneaking in, trying to disrupt their missile launch. You go in there, you sabotage different elements in the base that slows down the countdown to launch. So there's kind of this constant time pressure you're fighting under to try and get in there and stop the launch.
That's awesome. So we're starting out, we got some side-scrolling platform stuff, you got some cover shooting stuff. Tell me about some of the other mechanics that we're going to see up in here.
Yeah, so it's a side-scroller, which is a genre we love.
Yeah.
And as I said, it's mostly an action game. We have some light stealth elements here. You'll see here, Dave's coming up. He's going to be doing a stealth kill here on one of the guards.
Oh, there's like a little accuracy gauge.
Yeah, so there's a little timing mini game to take out the guard on one of those.
Now, what happens if he had gotten that wrong?
If you get it wrong, then you get booted out and you go back into more normal combat, and so you can either shoot the guy or do more hand-to-hand, which is also a simple timing mini game. So one of the things you're going to see here is it's a side-scroller, but also the camera rotates when you go into cover, and we feel like this lets us really give kind of cool, exciting, dynamic camera angles.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the controls stay pretty simple. You don't have to worry about controlling a character and also controlling the camera. We can do the camera piece for you, and so you get something that looks cool, but without quite the complexity you get with sort of a lot of AAA games.
Well, I do feel like turning the camera like that definitely gives you the opportunity to make the shooting a little deeper than you would see in a side scroller as well.
Sure. Yeah. So once the camera's on that side-on view, it's a full 3D aim, rather than when you're walking around, you just aim in 2D, and we auto-aim in and out of the world for you.
So this, I mean, I'm loving the animations on this guy. I just love his stance. He's just, everything just looks so, this is a spy. This guy is animated so well. Tell us a little bit about the pedigree of your studio, because you guys are a very interesting bunch.
Well, thank you. Yeah, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, so Dynamighty, we're like just a super small studio. There's 10 people. We're all kind of ex-LucasArts and Pixar, as I said. So like having that visual style in our DNA. And also, I mean, for sort of John and I, we've worked in games for like forever, since first generation PlayStation. So seeing kind of the growth of the games industry and becoming big teams, and we were a part of that. In more recent years, we just became so kind of inspired and really rejuvenated by the cool kind of indie scene and all the amazing content. And that for us has been one of the best things about having a partner like Sony. And like, you know, this is not something we would say just to kind of blow smoke up your, I almost said something right there, but because it really has been. I mean, there's obviously a lot in the press right now about, oh, Sony's got this big push, it's about the gamers.
Sure.
But I mean, you just see it in the diversity of the games. I mean, we've been showing the game off this week, and we're next to people like Media Molecule, right?
Sure, yeah.
Awesome.
There's
the
just
Puppeteer.
like a great mix of stuff here this year, for sure.
So for us, we feel like very privileged and humble that as our first title, which for any studio, Sony believes in us, it's, to work with us on our first title has been great.
That's awesome. And I love, you guys have this stylized minimalist look, and I feel like a lot of the time we see stylized minimalist in marketing for games now, and it usually means programmer art or we ran out of money. And it's like, it's really hard to do minimal well, isn't it? Like,
we definitely had programmer art for a long time. I can tell you that. I mean, in fact, for a long time it was just me and John, and yeah, like some of the early stuff that we were looking at was like, oh, but from a functional prototype kind of view, that's what we needed. When Mark joined us, that was when we were really able to kind of push on the visual style.
Yeah.
And also, like, I mean, we're super happy about where it's going. We still want to make it look even better. But it's been great. Like 2 months ago, we were looking at this, and some of the effects that you see here were not working right. It's like game development is always that kind of like push, where everything seems kind of broken. And then all of a sudden, it's like there's that magic switch gets on, and suddenly you're like, oh,
it's a game now.
The game that's the one we always had in our head. So we feel like we're getting there for sure.
So tell me about, obviously here we're under time constraints. We are trying to stop this missile launch. What other kind of missions are we going to be seeing here? What other kinds of gameplay are we seeing?
So as an agent for Counter, your primary motive in this first game is to stop these missile launches. Every level involves there's a countdown, there's going to be a missile launch. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And we've kind of like inverted the traditional mythology of like classic Bond movies where Spectre are the bad guys.
Yeah.
And so in this game, you're an agent for Counter and you see yourself as the good guys because you're like, well, wait a minute. Like both of these sides of these superpowers, like they're the ones that are building these crazy missiles. So when you're going through the level, there's that constant sense of time pressure. You've got to get there before the launch. But the more stuff you do in the game where you're causing mayhem, you kind of saw earlier, John was sort of sabotaging some computers. That'll help disrupt the timer, buy yourself more time. In terms of sort of other stuff, like sub-objectives, things like that, there's kind of an upgrade curve where you'll unlock more weapons, and that involves sneaking around, discovering, stealing secrets, so blueprints.
Oh, that's cool.
You complete a set of blueprints, that'll unlock like some cool experimental new weapon that you'll be able to use. Do you guys kind of get into the more sci-fi, kind of weird 60s weapons? Or do you keep it kind of like traditional? Watch this space, yeah. We're keeping it pretty traditional, but I think there's a lot of sort of design sensibility that you see from that era where they were definitely sort of forward-looking, and so when we start to talk and show more of those weapons, you'll definitely see kind of the design that's sort of quite unique and not, there's sort of a machine gun that's blue.
Pistol number 2.
Right.
Yeah. Awesome. So there is an interesting mobile component to Counter Spy as well.
Absolutely. So the mobile part is something we're really excited about as well. The mobile version is also a full game. It's a more smaller, focused version of the game. There's going to be more content on PlayStation 3 and on PS Vita, but at the same time, this is still a full game that you can play on your own and enjoy in itself.
Okay.
But it's also connected, and so there's going to be parts of gameplay that connect between the PlayStation versions and the mobile versions.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So that's something we're not quite ready to talk about just yet, but we just wanted to let people know it is going to be connected, and so the experience travels across all of those different platforms.
Gotcha.
But what I did want to talk about was just a little bit about the controls on the mobile device.
Sure.
It's something we thought about a lot when we were developing this version. We really didn't want to go with virtual sticks on there. We feel like
hate virtual sticks.
It just reminds you that you don't have a controller, you know? And so we wanted to take advantage of these great touch screens and really give a control scheme that make people feel like they're part of the action on the touch device. And so the scheme we came up with, I'm guessing I'll go this way.
We'll see. Yeah, we'll see how well we can get that.
Yeah, but basically,
you can play the game upside down, backwards.
Right here's
it shows how
it's a very simple like touch screen. You swipe to walk, swipe again to run, swipe the other way, tap to stop, press to pull out the gun, then you can move up and down, and then just tap to fire.
Oh, that's great.
And so you can do that either one-handed, again, this would be sitting on your sofa maybe, holding a tablet, but then also you can imagine if this was your phone, you can do it with 2 thumbs and it works just as well that way as well.
That's very cool. Guys, when are we going to be seeing Counter Spy?
Sometime this year.
Later on this year,
Cool.
yeah.
Excellent. And it's going to be on
PlayStation 3, Vita, and then on mobile and tablet devices.
So iOS and Android.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much
Great.
for coming by.
Thank you,
Game looks amazing.
Thank you.
And now let's check out the trailer for Counter Spy.